In today's video, we're going to be talking about Fiverr, how easy it is to make money, and then I'll be sharing my 5 top tips to help you skyrocket your Fiverr sales. Let's go. Hello and welcome to another one of my videos. Thank you very much for joining me. As you probably know, my name's Matt and I am a freelancer and author from the UK. Today, we're going to be talking about Fiverr.com, how you can make money on it, how quickly you can make sales, and whether it's a sustainable income or not. And I'll also be telling you my 5 top tips as a prorated seller on the platform of how you can skyrocket your sales. So for those of you who don't know, Fiverr.com is an online marketplace where freelancers can offer their services. It's the largest of its kind and it's really simple, easy. You can create a profile in minutes and you put up the different services you offer and then people will effectively bid for your services. So as an example, if you wanted to start, let's say, as an illustrator for children's books, you would create a profile and then a gig is the technical term for one of the services you offer. You have a gig page with a little description of the services you offer, the different price points. You can have up to 3 different price points of service, sort of like bronze, silver and gold. And you have some images at the top you can use as your gig gallery, a description, you can do FAQs, and then the buyers who are on the platform, simply all they have to do is, if they find your profile and they like your gig, they will simply click buy, or they can message you beforehand, and then you will get paid for those services. So just to give an explanation of how I got started on Fiverr, I actually started as a buyer in about 2018 when I wanted to get some illustrations done for my children's book. And I found an illustrator on Fiverr.com on the recommendation of someone who I knew on Facebook. And because Fiverr offers very low cost and affordable freelancing services, that's where I ultimately found my illustrator. And I was really impressed with the platform. I used it for my illustrator. I used it for several other services to do with my books. And then about 12 to 18 months ago, so in about sort of February 2020, I created my own seller account and I started selling on the platform, and I have done that ever since. So the way I started on Fiverr was I actually started off doing proofreading services, and I still do that now. And it's something that I was already good at and had experience in because I'd worked in marketing for 6 years prior to that. And there was a lot of proofreading, editing, copywriting, and things like that involved. So I started offering proofreading because it was relatively low cost for me to offer the service. It was quite quick and easy for me to do, and there's quite a big demand for proofreading services, especially if you're a native English speaker like myself. So that's how I first started off on Fiverr. I then quickly developed my profile. I went from being a level 0, if you like, it's called new seller, and it's one of the levels on Fiverr. Fiverr has several levels of seller, depending on your experience and your seniority. So you all start off as level, what I call 0, but they call it new seller. And then there are certain criteria you have to hit in order to reach the next level, and they're done usually automatically. So to get into the main topic of this video, which is probably why you're listening to this video, is can you make money on Fiverr? Now, the quick and short answer is yes, of course you can. Obviously, there's a little bit more to it, which I'm going to go into in this video. So let's start off by talking about how you can build up your profile from the ground up. I think with any of these what's so-called side hustles, which is basically a side job that you're doing, I think with anything that you do, there's not really many things in life that are quick money or get rich quick scheme, and Fiverr is certainly not one of them. You need to make sure you're offering professional services, because ultimately if you provide poor quality services, you're quickly going to get a bad reputation for yourself and then get kicked off the platform. So I would say definitely don't think of Fiverr as a get rich quick scheme or anything like that. It really is a slow burn, if you can say that. You have to start off as a level 0 like anyone else. You have to build it up. It can take quite a long time to get your first sales in. I would say once you get, let's say, about 10 reviews, so 10 sales or 10 reviews, it starts to snowball a lot from there. That's at least what I found. Just one other thing to note as well, some of you may already know this, but just to be upfront, Fiverr does take a 20% commission of all money that you earn on the platform. So you do need to factor that into your pricing. Obviously, if you're offering a service for, let's say, $10, remember that 20% of that, or $2 out of that 10, will go automatically to Fiverr. So if you're serious about getting started on Fiverr, the first thing I would recommend you do, I think it's a good idea, is to actually use Fiverr as a buyer. It's free to set up an account and you can use it for pretty much anything. I think actually a good place to start would be to get someone to create your gig image for you. And in the process, you can see how Fiverr works from the buyer side, how it works in terms of the process of hiring someone, paying for the services, giving your requirements to them, the whole Fiverr platform, how it works, how you can request modifications to your order, signing the order off, the review process. It sounds a lot, but once you've done it, it's really not that much. It's just a good idea to be familiar with the process from the buyer side before you start doing it from the seller's side. So one thing that I've been asked a lot by people who know I work on Fiverr is how quickly can you make money? Well, I think obviously that answer is very variable and it depends a lot on the services you're offering and things like that. But I know that that's not a very useful answer, so I will try and answer as honestly and helpfully as I can. I would say as a start, you probably will have to be on the platform for at least 4 weeks, so a month, before you can start seeing some decent money coming in. And it might be longer than that, it might be shorter than that. It really depends on what services you're offering, how good you are at what you do, and the demand that there is for the service you're offering. Now, I know what some of you probably want to talk about is how much can you earn on Fiverr? Well, sorry to say, but I'm not going to tell you my personal finances. Sorry about that. But what I will say is when I first started on Fiverr, what I did was I set myself a goal of the amount of money I wanted to earn per month. Obviously, that will be different for everyone, but for me personally, I chose my target as I wanted to earn $1,000 per month, and that was after the 20% commission. So obviously, you have to add 20% to everything because Fiverr takes the commission. And to me, that was when I thought, well, that would be enough to at least cover part of my rent, my living expenses, things like that. And so once I got to that level, obviously you then shift the goalposts each time. So once you get to 1,000 per month and you're comfortable there, then you can go to 2,000 or 3,000, or it might be less than that. You might say for your first month, maybe it's more likely $100, $200, something like that. It really depends on the services you're offering and how many hours you're willing to put into doing the work. So the other question I get asked a lot is Fiverr sustainable? Can you earn a sustainable salary or income from Fiverr? I would say, again, it really depends. But for me, I've been on the platform for 18 months. And yes, I have had a sustainable income that has increased month after month after month. And I've now got to the point where I'm earning a decent salary, decent income. I can pay for my rent and living expenses and those sorts of things exclusively from the money I earn on Fiverr. I am doing it full time, so that's something to consider. If you're only doing it part-time or at the weekends or in your free time in the evenings or something like that, obviously that's going to change. So now I'm going to give you my 5 top tips on how you can skyrocket your sales on Fiverr. Tip 1 is when you're first starting out, make sure that you only offer services that you can actually do and that you have experience in. Don't try and think of something that anyone can do and you can sort of do it. It needs to be something that you are passionate about, you have experience in, preferably something that you have qualifications in, and it needs to be something that you can offer a good service to someone and they would be happy to pay for it. Tip 2 is make sure that you start off with really good quality gig images and a gig description. I feel a lot of people actually don't really put as much effort into this as they need to. Remember that the image is the first thing that someone's going to see. And when I say image, I mean the gig image. And normally it will say what your service is, and it will quite often have a photo of you or some kind of photo. And it's obviously supposed to draw the eye when you're looking through the search results to try and get people to click on your specific gig rather than anyone else's. Once they've got to your gig, the image might bring them in, but it's the description that will probably sell them, and obviously the pricing as well. So you really need to think about that and really make sure you hone your message and write a really good description. Tip 3 is start small. So when I say small, I'm referring to the price. I would say start off your service offering a low price service, probably $5. I mean, the Fiverr platform is called Fiverr for a reason, because the minimum you can put a gig up for is $5. The reason I suggest doing that personally is because you're a low price point and you're a new seller with no ratings when you're first starting, people will be less likely to buy a very expensive service if you've not got any experience, or as in the reviews, any sort of previous experience that you can show. Tip 4 is always make sure you deliver on time or preferably early, and always try and give the buyer something that they didn't expect. It doesn't have to be loads, but if you're doing, I don't know, let's say you're doing keyword research for someone and they've paid for 7 keywords, try giving them 8 keywords or 9 keywords or 10 keywords. If it's not actually a huge amount more work for you, just that little bit extra can make the client think, oh wow, this person is really generous and I'm definitely going to come back to them. And quite often they will leave good reviews because of it. They may even leave you a tip. I've had that happen before. But also I think it's just good to over deliver on what you promise, because that just sets a precedent for the rest of your Fiverr journey. And tip number 5 is make sure that you always stay professional. I know this might sound very obvious, but I think you've got to remember that Fiverr, as I said earlier, is a slow burn and it's not a get rich quick scheme. You're really building a profile for yourself. So you need to make sure that in everything you do, you remain professional. You have professional images, professional description, deliver high quality products, but also in your communication with buyers, always be polite, even if the buyer isn't very polite, because it does sometimes happen. If someone leaves a negative review, obviously you can ask for their feedback if you want to, but don't get into backwards and forwards with people. Don't obviously start being rude to customers, because really it will only come back and reflect on you at the end. So there you have it. Today we talked about Fiverr, how quickly you can make money on it. Is Fiverr worth it at all? Is it sustainable? And I gave you my 5 top tips on becoming a great Fiverr seller and skyrocketing your sales. Please make sure you like, comment, subscribe for more of these videos. Now it's up to you to go out there and kill them with Fiverr goodness. And I hope to see you in future videos. Thanks.